Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a minimalist racing game that anyone can play even if you are dead. We're going to be talking about Powerboats, and this is a game where you'll be rolling dice and moving your powerboat around a lake, trying to get it round a certain amount of buoys in the most efficient way possible that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving it a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. Then we will come back and we'll tell you whether or not Powerboats is still worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section. And we'll see you after this. Bollocks! So, Powerboats. How'd you play this game? So Powerboats is probably one of the easiest racing games that I've ever played, and you'll be pleased to know that this explanation of rules isn't going to take very long at all. Right, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to build up the frame around the board using the 4 little itty bitty pieces, and then you'll stick the tiles randomly inside the frame. Right, so next thing you're going to do, you're going to build the course. You'll take all the buoys or buoys, if you're one of them American people, and you'll randomly place them on A, B and C points on the map. Right, you'll notice on the buoys that you have got an arrow that tells you which way round your speedboat has to move in order to complete that turn around a buoy. Right, so you'll randomly determine a start player, and you'll make sure that the start finish tile is placed next to the buoy, next to the A point on the board, and then the first player will then choose which space on the start finish tile to place their powerboat, and you'll go around clockwise. Right, we do like to house rule this in because it might be the case that if you go first you're going to be at an advantage. So a couple of the little house rules that we play is that if you are the start player, you get to choose last, or player that's going to go last chooses first, and then the next player in turn order has to place their boat directly behind the boat that's in front of them. That sort of gives it a little bit more balance when you come into the amount of turns that you're going to get each game. Right, so this is a roll and move game. Fucking hell, yes, it's a roll and move game. You're going to start the game with no dice, but the first thing you're going to do is you're going to be able to acquire a die. That's the first thing you can do because you ain't got none, have you? So the first thing you're going to do on your turn is you're going to make a decision. You can either add 1 die to your die pool, in which case you'll take one of the 3-sided weirdo dice and you'll place it on your spot on the board around the outside, or you can remove a die from your die pool, in which case you chuck it back in the supply, or you could just keep the amount of dice that you've already got in your die pool as they are. Right, so the next thing you're going to do, you're going to roll all the dice that you've selected in the previous step, and then you'll decide to turn your speedboat 60 degrees in either direction. 60 degrees equals one side of the hex that you're currently placed on. And once you've done that, then you will move your speedboat in a straight line the amount of spaces that you had on your dice that you selected from your pool, all the ones that you rolled. Right, so if you crash into an island, then you'll take a damage marker for every space that you overshot, and if you end up occupying a space where there's already another speedboat, you don't crash into them, but you just occupy the next space that is behind them. If you end up with 4 damage markers, then you are eliminated from the game. Right, but you can pass through boats. The only thing you can't do is you can't end your turn on a space that's occupied. So you'll keep doing this until each player has manoeuvred round all of the 3 buoys or buoys, and you'll total up a certain amount of points. You'll get 1 point per player minus 1, and you'll move your marker up the score track to reflect this. So you'll do this a second time, you'll have a second race, and then you'll have a third race, but the points in the second race are doubled and the points in the third race are tripled, and at the end of the third race the player with the most points will be declared the winner of Powerboats. So what do we like about Powerboats? So the first thing that we really like about this is it's a complete piece of piss to play, isn't it? It's so simple. Even my dog could play this, and I ain't even got a dog. The fact that you're only going to be making 2 choices, how many dice you're going to be rolling and which way you're going to be moving, makes this game so simple. I've been dragging this out more and more recently. So yeah, we love the simple rule set. So the second thing that we really like about Powerboats is it's absolutely hilarious watching your opponents make a dumb roll move, push their luck too far, and then go off on a jaunt around the lake and then crash headlong into a fucking island, right? And it's even more hilarious when you do the same thing yourself. This game can be a real giggle when you watch people, especially yourself, overstretch themselves. But that's part of the game, isn't it? The fact is, in order to win this game, you're going to have to push your luck that little bit too far, right? So the next thing, the final thing that we like about Powerboats is that the push your luck element is really well implemented. The fact that you can add and subtract from your die pool really does sort of mimic that speed up, slow down mechanism in an interesting and different way from other games like, say, Formula D, for instance, because in Formula D you're going to be rolling a completely different die that's going to give you a different spectrum of numbers. But this, each die goes from 1 to 3, it's only a 3-sided die, but the fact is that you are going to want to roll some low numbers when you're trying to get round tight bends, yeah? So speed isn't always the best option, and trying to judge how far you can get before you have to start dumping dice is a really, really interesting choice. So what don't we like about Powerboats? So the first thing we don't like about Powerboats is that player elimination sucks, right? We don't play this game with player elimination because that is bullshit. What we usually do, if you accrue damage markers, then either you can take those points off for each damage marker at the end of the game. That's one thing that you want to house rule out of this, is player elimination out the window. Second thing that we don't like about Powerboats is it is quite fiddly trying to move your boats around a board, because the way the powerboat models are made, they are very, very difficult to pick up with your fingers, yeah? And when you've got a big cluster of powerboats, that's going to happen at the beginning of the game. You're trying to reach in there. If you let go of the powerboat or they slide off or whatever, you might knock other powerboats out, and it's going to be very difficult for you to remember which way they were pointing. And the fact that the direction that your powerboat is facing is crucial to the game. It can really screw things up. So next thing that we don't like about Powerboats is it looks pretty shitty, doesn't it? I mean, it's like the artwork on it is just blobs of green and there's no special abilities in the game. It's just a case of rolling dice. I know I said that we like the simplicity of the game, but there might have been an option here for maybe an expansion, or just the option of having some kind of King of Tokyo style power-up addition to this, which might have made the game a little bit more interesting for certain people. So yeah, it's a case of weighing up whether or not you like the stripped back bare bones appeal of this, or whether or not you actually want a little bit more than that. So the final thing we don't like about Powerboats is it can go on for too bloody long. We don't ever play 3 games of this. That would be complete insanity. Even one game goes on for like a little bit too long. We usually play 2 games of this, and even then towards the end we do end up with powerboat fatigue, right? That's not to say the game isn't fun, it is, but don't ever play 3 games of this on a trot, right? So to summarise, is Powerboats worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we are going to say yes, I really do enjoy Powerboats. It is a step backwards in terms of complexity. It's just a case of rolling dice and moving. I know roll and move games are frowned upon these days, but this one has a very simple choice to make: how many dice you're going to grab and which way you're going to go, right? It is hilarious when your gambles don't pay off and you end up looking like Del Boy on a jet ski flying off into the middle of nowhere. And player elimination can be a real kick in the teeth if you allow that into the game, right? Having said that, Powerboats is one of our favourite racing games. If you're looking for something a little bit more complicated, obviously Formula D is the way to go. That offers a very simple game and a more complex game. I'd also recommend that you check out a game called Ave Caesar, which is roll and move, but not with rolling dice. It's card and move, if you know what I mean. You'll be playing cards to move your chariot forward. Another couple of games you might be interested in if you're looking for simplified minimalistic racing games is maybe Downforce, or even Flamme Rouge, or maybe Rife and Bright might scratch that itch. So yeah, Powerboats, very, very minimal, not very pretty to look at, but still a hugely enjoyable, stripped back racing experience. So there you go, that's Powerboats. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down there, and we'll see you next Tuesday.